Hola, ¿cómo estás? Willkommen. I backed out of my Spanish very quickly then.
Yeah, you went down German route.
Yeah, I was going to say you went slightly German at the end there.
I panicked. Guys, I'm sorry, I panicked. I didn't figure out a good way to slide in Tienes una sonrisa, say muy bonita, which is my only good, Spanish phrase. Yeah. So I ended up going German. Anyway, hello everyone.
Tres cervezas, por favor.
Tres cervezas. We are the I'll Try That podcast. I am Joe. We have Matt.
Yeah. Buenos dias, everyone.
Hola. We always have Rich.
Mi llamo Richard.
And today, as you may have guessed, we have a Spanish theme in the I'll Try That podcast episode. We are already in Madrid, and we are, I'll stop that whole accent now. And we are having a Mahou.
I've been saying Mahou, but I admit I could be wrong.
Mahou, so you can figure it out for yourselves, but Mahou sounds good. We've got Mahou Civ drinks going on right now.
It sounds like something a Scooby-Doo ghost would go when he jumps out on the gang. Mahou!
Yeah. It's like a ghost of beer.
Yeah.
Well, I know you guys watch Scooby-Doo a lot, but not all the listeners do. Okay.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, I think we should move from Mahou on to a fun hot topic, Barber, I think you've got for us, haven't you?
I love it. I can't tell you how much I love this hot topic. This is possibly my favourite we've ever done. It's just because I think there was a thing a while ago that went round about, as like a social media thing, angry people in local newspapers. This is dialed up a little bit. This is a disappointed person in a national newspaper. We're going, our reliable source, our man in the field, is the Metro newspaper. And there was
a classic source.
Picture the scene, right? You're Anne Maria Ellsbury, right? And you're probably fair to describe as quite a big fan of Carlsberg.
Okay.
And your husband Wayne is coming back from because they're from Wales. He was coming back, I think, from sorry, that's not the right time to laugh. He's coming back from a funeral in Bristol.
Right.
And she said, Wayne, get me some Carlsberg. He did exactly that.
Yeah.
He got the Carlsberg. Yeah. Bear with me, I want to get this right.
How much Carlsberg?
Quite a lot of Carlsberg. It would happen as it happens. I
don't know what they bought a lot of Carlsberg.
I've lost this. Sorry, 9 boxes. So 144 cans.
Oh my word! In one sitting, they bought 144 cans in one go.
So the Anne Maria's logic was that it's cheaper in the UK than in Wales. So that's why
Wales is in the UK.
in England than Wales. It's devolution, isn't it? So they were able to tax it more. This is the thing
we as English people tell ourselves. Let's just go to France. It's cheaper over there.
Yeah,
they're doing the same thing, but Wales to England. I get you.
I feel bad to fluff that up.
So they brought the beer in Wales, assuming it was cheaper.
No, bought it in England because it's cheaper than in Wales. It is the one thing is the one thing about devolution, isn't it? Is that in Wales, I think they taxed beer a bit more heavily.
Oh, okay.
At least I think that's right. Anyway, and later on in this article, Anne Maria does say, I love Carlsberg. It's the only drink I enjoy, and it was supposed to last me a long time. And as you can suggest from that sentence, or as you can infer from that sentence, disaster struck.
So I just recap. So we've got two protagonists, two main characters who really love Carlsberg. They bought 144 cans of Carlsberg in England, but they live in Wales. Right. Yeah. I've set the scene. Okay.
And they started drinking the 144 cans of Carlsberg, which I think even we don't know for sure.
Where do you start?
In one sitting. But anyway, which is it would take me a long time. But something was wrong. The beer was a bit off, basically.
Right.
So as Andy says, But when he got back, I knew something was up because the tins felt really flimsy. I was about 4 cans in and I thought something was up. It didn't take way.
It took up 4 cans to realise there was something wrong with the beer.
Yeah.
I was 4 cans in. That's the best sentence I've heard today.
It gets better. It gets better. And do your own joke if you're a non-Carlsberg fan to go, how did they know it wasn't just normal Carlsberg? 4 cans in, I realised something was wrong. And then a few days later, and I was saying, but this is it now. This tastes just like water.
So they'd continuously drunk this beer for like a few days.
Kept going, even after like the 4 cans wasn't quite enough to.
I would like to think she was laying in bed and just had a sudden realization that water. That's what it tastes like. Water.
Probably can't remember what water tastes like, to be fair.
Yes.
We drink so much Carlsberg.
And as she said, it really stressed me out. I'm out of pocket, and they have offered me enough to buy 1 more crate. Basically, Carlsberg said, can you send us a couple of cans and we'll just make sure it's, just want to check your story, basically. And then they got it and they went, yeah, that's not right. Here's £15 worth of Carlsberg vouchers. So, as I said, when I read this the first time, I just kept going through it. It just seemed to get better and better.
Brilliant.
Anyway, that's about the size of it.
Actually, I'm surprised that this Carlsberg enjoyer has been left out of pocket in the same sense. I mean, it does sound like they drank quite a lot of the Carlsberg before finally confronting Carlsberg with said issue. But at the same time, £15 doesn't sound like it's enough to cover those. Even if they'd made a big dent in that 144, that's still not enough to cover, what they might have had left. What we can presume is they had quite a lot left, basically.
Yeah, indeed. So also, she says it's not very good. Carlsberg said, look, we had a bad batch. I think it was reduced carbonation levels that they mentioned, because I think what was the overriding theme is that they were a bit flat. But she did say, imagine if somebody had bought these for a wedding or a funeral. That many faulty cans could spoil the whole thing.
She used wedding and funeral in this. Oh my god.
But also, if you had the bad batch,
it's really brought
that's really not ruining the wedding.
That would have ruined it.
We were having a right scream. And then I went, hang on, my Carlsberg is a bit flat. Yeah, this is the worst. This is now the worst day ever. Said the man's widow.
Yeah.
That's too good.
So, I didn't see much more of a resolution here. I think it's still ongoing. They said, yeah, sometimes we package several million cans at our brewery in Northampton every week. It's very rare. We want everyone to be able to enjoy these. We've been in touch with the purchasers to put things right. You make millions of beer. Some of them might not go very well, but hey, you might be able to get your picture taken with all of your crates of Carlsberg stacked up to nearly as high as you are tall. Yeah, holding a can of, let's be honest, what looks like urine. You might get some more attention. But
the picture makes her look like one of those winners of I think we talked about it, when you can get your height in books.
Yes,
so it's just what a height in beer.
And this puts me in mind of people pointing at potholes and having their picture taken to highlight to the local council. Why hasn't it been fixed? Anyway, so Carlsberg fans, beware.
Beware. Yeah. If your tin is flimsier than usual, what else? Don't buy 144 all at once.
And if there is anyone
spread out those purchases.
If there is anyone listening who would buy 144 cans of Carlsberg, could you explain why you wouldn't ever drink anything else?
What is it about Carlsberg? Because I've got quite a few recommendations. I would like to try these only Carlsberg drinkers on.
They've very clearly been overly taken in by the probably the best beer in the world. I'm not taking any risks. I'm just going to have it.
If I'm honest, it was probably the thing that she said right at the start, which is why they bought them in England rather than Wales, is because it was cheaper to buy them in England. I think that's probably a main driving point of these purchases of Carlsberg. But anyway, Carlsberg, as we know, is a perfectly palatable lager. It it isn't the number 1 or 2 sold in the UK, but certainly that family are trying to up the numbers of Carlsberg sales across the UK by themselves.
Oh, they did also allude to it in the headline as well. The Metro: woman fuming after buying probably the world's worst cans of Carlsberg.
Oh, okay.
Classic journalism. Oh, great.
Right, let's move on from that and talk about something sane.
Shall we talk about something fun and historic? I mean, again, and also
bueno,
very Spanish. Spanish. Yeah.
Donde cerveza? Mahou.
Cool.
Those many years working in Spain has paid off there, Rich.
Dos grande patatas fritas. It's okay. 2 big chips.
I'd have always gone with patatas bravas, though. I love the patatas bravas, the tapas. It's so good.
I do love patatas doing bravas. This episode with a couple of locals.
Right, let's get on to Mahou. How did we say we were going to call it?
Mahou.
I've been saying Mahou. I don't know if it's right.
I think it's Mahou.
Mahou. That makes sense to me, how it's pronounced. I always just have Macau in my head for some reason. I know that's spelt differently and it's a different part of the world, but I just always think this, like 5 letters with an M at the start with an H in it, I always kind of think, oh, it must be Macau. Anyway, different words. Right. We're going back to 1890. This is the founding of the Mahou. By Enrique, Louis, and Carolina. So these are the children of a French entrepreneur born in Lorraine, France, which is why they're French entrepreneurs. And they founded the Hijos de Casimiro Mahou in Madrid. So the French surname was to become the flagship name of one of Spain's most famous beers. So Mahou is a French name, which is why I was like, oh, isn't it French? But it's actually got Spanish, its origins. So it's because it's a French entrepreneur's family who created a beer in Spain, and it was called Mahou.
That makes me think it should be Mahou.
Yeah.
Not helping, I know, but interesting. So,
what did I say? I said Mahou, didn't I, again?
You said Mahou.
It's all right.
I've got it stuck in my head. I'm agreeing with you. That's how it should be pronounced, Barber, and I'm just saying the wrong phrasing. You've
latched onto it like a limpet.
I know. I'm like a barnacle. You won't get me off.
But Mahou, I'm going to hammer that point now. But this is basically like a famous Madridista?
Yes. Madridist? Madridians.
To rival, presumably, Madri.
Yes, but Madri's new, isn't it?
Madri's new, isn't it? This has been around for ages.
This is its older brother, uncle, maybe.
From another brewery.
Yes, exactly. And I noticed something interesting about the ownership of Mahou.
Yes.
Because there was me naturally assuming that it was Spanish. Well, it is, but it's also of French extraction. And it is linked to another brewery, which I also thought was Spanish, but isn't. Who can guess which brewery I'm talking about?
Oh, San Miguel. Not so. It's the
Yes.
This is only the first episode of the recording. Doesn't sound like it, does
San Miguel of Philippines fame, not Spanish fame.
Yeah. I still tell people about San Miguel and they don't believe me. I think I mentioned this on another episode since we've done.
I think you got into an argument with someone, right?
Yeah, and they're like, no, it's not Filipino. It's like, it flipping well is, mate. I'm not Philippine. Yeah, see?
There you go.
So, about the ownership, I don't understand, though. I just know that they are linked. It is the Mahou San Miguel group.
I can give you more interest in here, and this is more for when people challenge you about San Miguel being Filipino, okay?
And this way we won't have to get into a physical fight.
Exactly. So the shareholders of La Sagrada signed the Manila Agreement, which makes sense because it's in the Philippines, Manila.
Yeah.
In 1953, with the chairman of the San Miguel Corporation of the Philippines, which granted the branding rights for San Miguel, Spain. So basically, they created San Miguel, Spain, through of Mahou. I'm pronouncing that right now. Yep, Mahou.
Just
Thank you,
roll with
Mahou. Basically, San Miguel already existed in the Philippines, and with this agreement, it meant that they could create San Miguel, Spain. So it came after San Miguel, Philippines, obviously, and with this agreement with Mahou, created San Miguel, Spain.
I see.
Oh, okay, I like that.
I'm sorry, I've just also cottoned on to the fact that I'm having a double take here, basically, because I have had Mahou before, and I think I've had it in a bar in my neck of the woods, interestingly enough. But I think I was drinking Mahou. I'm not sure now, but I guess I was drinking classic Mahou, but the beer in the bottle that I have now is the Mahou Cinco Estrellas, the 5-star.
That's what I have as well.
I've
got two, yeah.
I need to find my way back to the bar and look at their taps again to actually confirm whether it was Cinco Estrellas or classic that I was having before. But I think looking at the range though, it's kind of following a similar formula to a lot of European, well, the ones that we see, which are European exported lagers. I'm trying to think of another one that has the classic, and then there is there's a Radler, isn't there? I think there's a Dunkel.
Yeah, all the usual
as well.
Yeah.
And the usual.
They've got Dunkels as well. That's quite different. There's a Mahou Maestro Dunkels as well. There's a whole range of different beers as well, which is quite interesting. The Mahou Barrica Bourbon as well, which is a Doppelbock barrel aged. That's quite interesting. That's a different one.
You always think because I'm guessing actually the one that I had before was also the Cinco Estrellas, because you guess that it just basically gets the most popular one ends up getting exported everywhere. But I do then want to try the Classica.
Yes, I agree.
Because then that's like the one that started it all.
You know what?
Sorry, I have to go carry on. Mate.
Oh no, I was going to say, it's kind of a bit of a off it from, but I'm just enjoying that. I'm just looking at their history right here, and it said that they when they opened their first factory, they were still selling beer straight out of the factory onto their terrace. So it sounds like they were kind of one of the first places that kind of had like a tap room sort of idea that they in like 1890. I thought it was pretty cool.
I also think this idea. I know we think of tap rooms as being these edgy, cool places. All breweries have always, to some extent, had a level of having beer fresh from the pumps, right? You know, I mean, going to like very old breweries, even in the UK, down like Skinner's brewery down in Cornwall, they have a pub built into the brewery itself.
Yeah.
And that's just like, you know, so I think like this, like what we now think of is like, oh, tap rooms, they're doing it in a really cool way. You've got the beer thing there. Breweries have always done this to some extent. It's only when we get to like the big mass levels, you know, like the Budweiser of the world, where they're unlikely to have a brewery within it. But,
and,
you know,
and Carlsberg, who clearly don't test to see if their beer's okay.
What's going on with them?
Seems like it doesn't matter, does it, Carlsberg? Sorry, it's like riff.
So I would just say, like, traditionally, all breweries would have had some level of pub or tap room within their things. Obviously, when you get to the more mass scale in more recent years, obviously that's probably gone away. But yeah, anyway, beside. I think that's a great point, Rich. Well done for raising.
Cheers, mate. Thanks. All right. I also like the fact that they haven't really changed their logo much through the years. I was looking at the history and the evolution of kind of the Mahou branding. Isn't
You're saying
you're now bloody confusing me with how we pronounce Mahou. But I was looking, it doesn't look like they've changed their branding massively, which I think is quite cool. The Mahou logo has stayed very similar throughout the years.
Simplistic as well, isn't it? Right? It is just the
word
my
Mahou, word,
but with a fairly.
Can I give you boys something to do, which is going to absolutely blow your mind? Hold your bottle in your hand.
Medically advised?
Yeah. Focus on the stars, the 5 stars underneath the logo, and just roll the bottle across. What happens to the stars? Do they like change? They shimmer. They like move, don't they?
Yeah, because they're like white in the middle and they've got like a silver outline.
So it's almost like to your naked eye, they're like as you're like holding it close to you, they're bigger, and then they're smaller, and then you roll the bottle, and as they get away from you, they get smaller, and the ones getting close to you get bigger. Magic.
No,
Absolute
they do,
magic.
don't they?
What? I'm not sure I get it. I think I know what you mean, though. But maybe no. I do. Yes, no. Maybe I do get it, but it's just not as remarkable as you think it is. I'm sorry.
Oh, shiny. Right, let me tell you more about the 5 Estrellas then, because that's what we're talking about, the five ones. So they've been around for over 40 years. They released this beer for the first time in 1969, giggity. And, it's 5.1% alcohol by volume. And it's what they now refer to as their flagship taste. Now, we were speculating that they're 5 stars. Obviously stars, breweries, beers is all part of it. 5 points of it, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. We wondered if maybe that also meant they had 5 ingredients. But I'm afraid to say they only have 4. It's yeast, hops, water, and malt.
They don't
Classic.
put love in.
They don't put love. They don't explicitly put love in it.
Or they wanted everyone to sort of think they were 5 times better than Estrella.
Well, I don't know. Estrella is definitely better. But
Oh,
you're not
interesting.
Not such a fan.
Oh, go on then. Get us onto the liquid.
It's fine. It's fine, and I would definitely enjoy drinking this in a hot country. I wouldn't turn my nose up it if they had it at a bar, but I think Estrella is nicer. I think it's more full bodied and it's more flavour. This is definitely the lighter and a bit more refreshing in that sense, I suppose. But I'm definitely an Estrella fan.
I tell you what, for my first couple of sips, I was automatically like, "Oh, this is a Spanish beer." Before I'd really knew much about it, I was like, "Oh, this is a Spanish beer," because it was quite like Estrella in a lot of ways. But I get what you're saying; it is quite different. I actually find this a bit maltier than Estrella, though. I don't know if I find it as crisp and clean. I find Estrella a little bit more like it's got I don't know, a little bit more refined. I feel like this one has got a bit more malt to it, but it's very on par with kind of the level of the color is very similar as well to Estrella.
I would agree with the malty side of things, and I think typically for a lager you have to be quite. That sounds like quite a good thing to pick up on, or like that's like quite a seasoned lager taster thing to pick up on. I'm maltier, and I actually thought it tastes as though it is a little bit stronger as well, because I think it's this is 5.1, isn't it? But Estrella is less than that, I think.
I think it might be similar.
Could well be, couldn't it? I'm going to have to go and find that out.
I'm doing it right now. I'll just keep talking. I'll seamlessly edit this in.
I reckon it might be 4.5 Estrella.
I think it's 5 point. I think it's 5 point something.
Kronenberg is 1664 is quite. We need to do Kronenberg non-1664.
It is. Who said what? Go back. What do we think Estrella is?
I said 4.5.
I said 5, maybe 5 something.
Barber's closed with 4.6% ABV. It's in Estrella.
Okay. It is 4.6.
Yeah.
Get me.
So you're right. Mahou has a higher ABV. I do find Estrella sweeter though. I do find it sweeter than Mahou. Like I said, it's more malt flavour is coming across for me with this beer. But I agree with Barbara. I like it. I do enjoy the flavour of this.
Yeah, it's good. It's not bad.
My Mahou's, weirdly, and I'm sure I've drunk a warmish Estrella before. Over my career, whatever we're going to call it, had way more Estrellas than this. And actually, I think I've only been able to have this in the fridge for a little while. And I don't know, I think I'm maybe picking up a bit more flavour because it's warmer. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know how sometimes you have it cold and sometimes the coldness kind of makes it lovely and refreshing, but actually sometimes takes the actual edge off the hop profile or on the made. That might be why I'm getting that it's a bit maltier. But I do like it. It does feel to me like a holiday beer. But that might be because I don't drink it that much.
I agree with what Rich was saying. It feels like you're in a foreign country drinking this, right?
I feel I would enjoy drinking this in a cold ice cold glass while staring out at some beautiful Spanish courtyard.
In less than 3 weeks, I'll be in Madrid and I'll
get this straight from the tap.
Yeah.
Tell us.
I'll live at you both or something.
Or that whole thing that we don't ever do, but you could do Instagram stories, and actually share it with the world.
I don't know. That seems a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, Joe, be careful.
Yeah. I got drunk once. I got drunk at a gig and did it. It's fine.
Did you? Oh no, I missed that one.
I
Was that the day before we lost a load of viewers?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, we lost like 1,000 people. It was just me live streaming different awful songs.
And we also started following some very strange accounts.
Yeah.
I will now we've brought up our Instagram, I will say Rich does not know how to swap back to his own personal Instagram apart from the podcast Instagram. So we tend to get some very weird things happening with the podcast Instagram.
Why would you think I'd be interested in that?
Yeah, I'm just into some niche stuff.
It's nothing sexual. It's just a lot of greyhounds. Let's put it that way.
I've never heard it called that before.
But going back to the beer, to my detriment, I've never had this beer before. This is the first time I'm having it. Actually,
I don't know what
I've never mahoued.
Yeah, I don't know what the theme is, but it seems to come up like every now and then. It will be on a tap in a bar in at least my neck of the woods, anyway. But it's not a regular feature. It's like never going to be as never thus far isn't popping up as much as your Moretti's and your Estrellas and that sort of thing. But
I always tend to see it in the Lidl special buy section whenever I'm going shopping. So yeah, and that's it.
I wonder what Anne Maria would think of this. I don't think she'd go for it. The Carlsberg lady.
Oh.
The Carlsberg order.
I agree. I don't think she'd be happy with this.
This would not be her. No. Well, it's not Carlsberg, so she wouldn't like it.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's my point.
But I mean,
she'd ever try it.
As the lager goes, I would say it's quite a step away from Carlsberg.
Oh, it's definitely miles away from Carlsberg. Yeah. Carlsberg is water.
I quite like it. Does call itself Cerveza Premium, but doesn't go too hard on it. Because they all want to say they're premium, don't they?
Yeah.
Can I give you guys a fun fact, which I think is blatantly obvious once we talk about it, but I didn't realise it until I just read and explored this a little bit further. So, obviously we know the relationship between Spain and the Philippines, right, with Mahou and San Miguel, and the fact that you now get San Miguel in Spain because of Mahou, and now you obviously get Mahou in the Philippines because of San Miguel, right? So that's that relationship. In the Philippines, Mahou is known as Spain's best beer. So it's like, that is to them like a quintessential Spanish beer. Whereas in Spain, obviously San Miguel is like, a Philippines beer. And I don't know why in my head that has just been like, oh, that didn't even occur to me. The fact that obviously they think of their beers as being, because we always just think of both of them being Spanish to some extent.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's bit. But obviously, of course. So in the Philippines, everyone's going, oh, you want a Spanish beer? Get Mahou. If you're in Spain and you're going, oh, I want a Filipino beer. I'm not sure if that's a regular point for conversation. Then they go, well, have a San Miguel,
With you. Okay. But it also, the bit that I then I can't get my head around, and it would probably apply to the conversation I had with someone a while ago who didn't believe me that San Miguel was from the Philippines. It then strikes me as weird. We get San Miguel on the regular in the UK, but not Mahou. I suppose it's because there's other beers we get from Spain, but again, it's just that it's probably not as straightforward as this, where they actually brew and bottle all of it. But the idea is that the Philippines is further away than Spain.
I honestly think it's really trading on the fact that we, the British, are so ignorant. We just generally believe that this is San Miguel is Spanish, and so we're like, oh, give us that Spanish beer, San Miguel. Because it's the most Spanish sounding. It's out of Mahou and San Miguel. It is the most Spanish sounding one. I mean, Mahou is French. As a name. So
that explains why the Filipino bloke in the bar always goes, oh, for God's sake, every time someone orders a San Miguel, because they go, it's from Spain, and he knows better.
He does know better. He does know. Right, shall we do some numbers, wrap up on Mahou? No, it's taken me the whole episode and I finally got to say it correctly, so well done, chaps.
Nice one, mate.
If there's one thing to take out of this, I can now pronounce a word correctly. So, Instagram, they don't have an official global one, but I can tell you about Mahou Beer PH, which is their Philippines Mahou Instagram. They have 140 followers. On Twitter, they have Mahou_beer, which I don't know if it's global, but it joined in February 2016, so maybe, I don't know. And that's got 3,700 followers. But really, just looking at finding them online, there's a really good swanky UK website. There's one that's linked with the global and US, and they're quite big in Chile by the sound of things, according to their website. So, yeah, I think you could generally find your Mahou news.
Can I keep going? On the global part of their website, I saw something very interesting and cool, which is about the art of pouring a draft beer. Anyone listening? I was going to say go and take away and have a look now because we're going to wrap it up. But they do quite a nice explanation of pouring a beer, which bit means what. It's just a bit of vernacular and glossary. Talks about it can allude to how each of there's a suggestion of how they pour the best possible Mahou, but there is stuff that would apply to your other lagers from other parts of the world that actually you got to just basically say it's kind of down to personal choice. But that's worth a look as well, I'd say.
Okay.
And that's all we have time for this week's episode of the I'll Try That podcast. And so from me, Joe, Rich,
Barber, and Simo,
goodbye. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram,
Twitter,
I'll try that podcast.com,
and watch us on YouTube.
Goodbye now.